Well, hello there, good friends. This is your old buddy Chuck the Book Dweller, and I got a new table set up in the library here. So I'm hoping that even though I have stacks here to show for this video, I hope they don't all tip over like they have in previous videos. Uh, so we'll try it out. New table here, right here in the middle of the library. Takes up most of the room, but it's more towards supper time on Sunday evening. I am wearing my new 999 t-shirt. I want to see them on is it November 1st. One of my favorite punk bands of all time. Played here in Cincinnati. Fantastic. Got to meet the singer. Wonderful. Just, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know. So anyway, right off the bat, I went to see my buddy Todd the Librarian recently. He is putting up multiple parts of our conversation down in Red River Gorge. We went to a nice brew pub. We had a great time. Todd and his wife Becky, fantastic people. It's kind of nice when two YouTubers from, it seems like miles and miles apart, but 3 hours, not that bad. So I feel like I've got a friend for life now, Todd the Librarian. Cool dude. Anyway, cheers to you, buddy. We're going to do it again sometime after the first of the year when things settle down. We'll head down, do a little bit of this. Anyway, while I was there visiting the world famous author and YouTuber Todd the Librarian, we did a little book exchange. We had a great time. And Todd gave me his book, The Vulnerable Gods, and was kind enough to inscribe it to me. So thank you very much, Todd. That was very nice. Cheers to you, buddy. We'll do it again soon. So I think right now I want to show, we'll get into the books. One of my favorite books I've read recently is Where All Light Tends to Go by David Joy. More of a southern writer. David Joy, North Carolina. What a fantastic book. I give it 5 stars. It's my favorite reads right now. And I love the book so much. I had one of my friends at work read it. She loved it. And so I was out and about one day and I brought this book with me. And I went on the back and you can see all the different blurbs by all the different authors. And I went to a library book sale and said, I wonder how many of these authors that blurb David Joy's book I can find in one shot. So as it turns out, I found quite a few. The one that I am reading now is called Desperation Road by Michael Ferris Smith. He did one of the blurbs, and I'm only like 20 pages into it, but it's starting out like gangbusters. So very cool to start this one. Another one I found was Small Treasons by Mark Powell. I don't know much about him, but like I say, the State Public Library sale was very good to me on this little escapade I was on. Another one of the writers who blurbed David Joy was Frank Bill. This one's called The Savage. Very cool. Another one, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think David Joy took a class or was at the same college as Ron Rash. So I had that book with me and I looked and guess what I found? Ron Rash book, Above the Waterfall. Another one is Something Rich and Strange. Ron Rash. The Risen by Ron Rash. And The Cove by Ron Rash. So because I found such a great writer in David Joy, I found these. And I also found a couple other Southern writers that I'm into. I have a bunch of his books, but this is Barry Hannah, Boomerang and Never Die. I think it's 2 in 1. So Barry Hannah is another, I think, Mississippi writer. And then I just started getting into this guy too, The Lost Country, William Gay. So I got this whole bunch of Southern writers in the vein of Larry Brown, my favorite Harry Crews, Flannery O'Connor, Joe R. Lansdale, all those Southern writers. Are really kind of digging into them now. So nice to have this group that I found all in one day, man. Fantastic. I think now I'll get into, let's see here. All right, well, it's right in front of me. Let's do a little sci-fi. This is And the Devil Will Drag You Under by Jack L. Chalker. What a great cover. Next is The Fugitive Stars by Daniel Ransom, who happens to be Ed Gorman, a pseudonym for Ed Gorman, sci-fi book. Of course, one of these days, I keep saying I'm going to do, I got like 60 Ed Gorman books, and one of these days we'll go through them. Next is Immortality Inc. by Robert Sheckley. Found out about him through Harlan Ellison. This one is Stations of the Nightmare by Philip Jose Farmer. I have a whole bunch of his books too. And Macedonia by Clifford D. Simak. I have a bunch of his too. So I think that's the sci-fi. We'll do the horror books last. Here's one I wasn't sure how to categorize it. Maybe like international intrigue. I'm not sure. But this is Hunt Among the Killers of Men by David J. Scow. I mean, you probably heard that name from, I got a section of horror books by Scow. He'd been around a while. He was kind of in that Skip Inspector, Poppy Z. Bright group. So anything with his name on, I'm going to snag. Those are horror. Oh, one of these, movie tie-in, The Sting. I have a whole section of movie tie-ins and silly ones, so wasn't going to pass that one for a buck. This one, I'm not sure, probably history. T.P. Tales of the American Indian, Retold for Our Times by D. Brown. Little hardback, came from the library sale. All right, let's see what else we have here. Mark Twain, Cat Lovers. This little hardback I found. Very cool. I think that came from the library sale, I don't remember. Huge Mark Twain section we'll get to. I don't know if I will read this or not, but Herman Woukes, The Caine Mutiny. An old Dell paperback with 95 cents, but I don't remember what I paid for it. I'm sure it was $1 or less. If you're a Steinbeck fan like I am, I love these little perma-bound books that we had when we were in high school. And if I find them, I see them. This came from a library sale. These were a buck a piece. Little hardbacks. The Pearl. Great story. Of Mice and Men. Another great little hardback. Steinbeck. Here's a book by Nick Tosches called Trinities. Let's show a picture of Nick Tosches. I think Nick actually died recently, so that's more of a fiction book. Let's go with a history book. Everyone knows how much I like history. This is one of my all-time favorite history books. The Radicalism of the American Revolution by Gordon S. Wood. That was a good one. Fantastic. Gordon S. Wood's one of my favorites now. Here's one to go with my Thomas Jefferson. If any of you watch my Thomas Jefferson video, this is a profile. Thomas Jefferson. Keeping with the Jefferson, here's Jefferson Davis. The Essential Writings. And this one's called An Imperfect God. George Washington, His Slaves, and the Creation of America. I think that was $1 or $2. Here's one called Friends Divided, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. Another one by Gordon S. Wood. Go with my Gordon S. Wood section, which is pretty big. And this is one I found at the library. This is called 1776 Year of Illusions. Hardback. $3. Actually, it's also illustrated, or got pictures and illustrations, and couldn't pass a history hardback up for $3. Next, let's go with some westerns and a little true crime. We're just talking about Daniel Ransom, Ed Gorman. This is called Bad Money. That'll go, the Ed Gorman section's right there. Next is Todd the Librarian. I mentioned him again. He's a huge Larry McMurtry fan. So when I was out, I found this one called Boone's Lick by Larry McMurtry. Give that a shot somewhere down the road. Lauren D. Estelman, Journey of the Dead. This is actually the huge print one. The Western. I like those big print ones. This is The Richest Hill on Earth by Richard Wheeler. Another one in the large print, hardback. And then we'll do a couple true crimes here, nonfiction. I just posted a little video on Instagram about the Dalai Lama. I forgot I had this one in my stack. So I add that one to the Dalai Lama stack. Tell you what, without getting too religious or political, if the Pope was as cool as the Dalai Lama, the world would be a much better place. Take that for what it's worth. If anybody has seen the Mindhunter series on Netflix, that was John Douglas. Here's another one of his. Journey into Darkness, John Douglas. I'm sure more FBI tales. Yeah, pretty cool. This is one I read years ago, and I found it in a hardback. No Matter How Loud I Shout, A Year in the Life of Juvenile Court. I think it's in Los Angeles. That was Edward Hume's great true crime writer. And I got a bunch of likes on this one. The Serial Killer Files by Howard Schechter. I used to have a bunch of his. One of his first ones I read about Ed Gein. Geez, there was a whole bunch of them he did. But this is like an oversized. It's a cool true crime stuff. Any true crime fans out there? Now we'll get to some of the horror stuff. I don't know that I have a quote-unquote holy grail in this stack. But let's just go through them. This is The Fagin by Pat Graverson. I think I first saw this one on Leon the Paperback Maniacs video. Next up is Horror Mansion by J.N. Williamson. This gives me 2 copies of this one, and actually this one is in really good shape. I actually found... Here's one by Caitlin R. Kiernan. I saw Caitlin R. Kiernan years ago when she was hanging out with Skip Inspector and Poppy Z. Bright and all them. Low Red Moon. I know Jason White from Jason's Weird Reads. He's a huge Caitlin R. Kiernan fan. Oh, while we're at it, I have another Caitlin R. Kiernan book, Threshold. There we go. Cool. Jon Farriss. This is Minotaur. It's a little rubbed out here, but still it's a Jon Farriss book. Gerald Horner, The Beast That Was Max. I know I have another one of his books somewhere. Todd the Librarian, he gave me a couple other books, but I'll save those for the November book haul. Then I found this one, Dean R. Koontz, The Faces of Fear. God, this is almost in mint condition. And then another one kind of in that vein, Cry for the Strangers, John Soule. Next is a different edition than the one I have, They Thirst by Robert R. McCammon. This is Monster by Randall Boyle. And the only other one I know that he did was Darkman books, but I'm sure he has other books. I know it's another favorite of Leon the Paperback Maniac. This one I don't know too much about. Actually, I don't know anything about it. By Fritz and Ravenwood, The Spawning. Pretty cool. Let's see, I have 2 by him. Fred Saberhagen, The Holmes Dracula File. I have a couple other his books. Pretty cool. And then this one is A Matter of Taste by Fred Saberhagen. Cool. This is actually Jay Ramsey, but it's Ramsey Campbell, Night of the Claw. This gives me 2 copies of this book, S.P. Somtown, Vampire Junction. Always like that cover. This one's in rough shape, but who cares, because it's a Sean Hudson book, Spawn. This is Michael Slade, Swastika. I'd never heard of this one. I used to have all those Michael Slade books, but ran into this one pretty cheap. This is a anthology, Revelations by Douglas E. Winter. See if I can see some names. Joe R. Lansdale, David Morrell, F. Paul Wilson, Poppy Z. Bright, Krista Faust. I like her. David J. Scow, Clive Barker, Ramsey Campbell, Craig Spector. Revelations. And seeing that was edited by Douglas Winter, I actually found a hardback. Let me get that out. By Douglas Winter called Run. And he did that big book about Clive Barker too, where that he edited. So there's Run by Douglas E. Winter. This one, In the Name of the Father by John Zudro. I have a bunch. Actually, I'm starting to get the Barry Wood collection going. I must have moved them. Oh, there I have a couple other ones, but this is called Light Source by Barry Wood. I have The Basement, The Tribe, and something else I can't read from here because it's dark. Okay. Robert C. Wilson did The Crooked Tree, also did Icefire. There you go. Another anthology, Midnight Graffiti. Stephen King, Harlan Ellison, Dan Simmons, David Scow, Nancy Collins. That's a nice saying, Nancy Collins. Nice segue into two books by Nancy Collins I found too. Dead Roses for Blue Lady, Sanja Blue. I guess that's her vampire. And all the books just fell on the floor. That's okay. Darkest Heart by Nancy Collins. Pretty cool. And the last one I have is London Under Midnight by Simon Clarke. So that the freaking books are falling. That's okay. They do that every time. So who cares? Actually, I didn't bring any music in. Everything's in the other room. So I think that's going to tie it up for now, everybody. Thanks to all the new subscribers. I got some new subscribers since Todd the Librarian put out those videos. So thanks from anybody from Todd's group that came over to mine. Thanks to any Instagram subscribers that came over to mine. I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. So we'll see through Thanksgiving. Busy time around here. So I think that's about it. So everybody have a good week. It's going to get cold here in Cincinnati. I think it's going to be in the teens the next couple of nights. So everybody bundle up and have a good week, and I'll check you later. Bye.